Thank you very much. That sounded very flowery and wonderful. And unfortunately, I'm going to go rogue a little bit today, just a little. I will do all of those things. But as I listened to the speakers yesterday, I was really excited that I was able to really relate to something in everyone's talk. And I wrote down everyone's names so I could make sure I got them right. To Teresa, Lisa, Gia, Jess, Brittany, and Aaliyah, and actually now Lainey has convinced me that I need to get a Garmin watch. So there's something there that all of them have really touched in me and in my life, and I'm sure that they have in you as well. So I'd like to give you 2 minutes to think about what you heard yesterday that really made you think, you know what, I'd like to do better in that area. And I think I could, I can't do a lot, but I think I could do this one thing. Think about that, write it down, and share it with the person next to you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for thinking about that, and hopefully, if you've written it down, now you've committed to it, right? Does anybody have anything that they'd like to share? Just one. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. So Christy and I were talking, the birthday girl, about what we learned, and she mentioned about being present. And I was in a meditation class today, and one of the things the guide said was, tomorrow is not guaranteed. And so we were talking about that. We spend all of our time on something that's not even guaranteed, and you're giving up something that is, which is today, in being present.
That's wonderful. Yes. I've told the story to a couple of people already, but someone called me, one of my bosses called me last night and said, hey, I really need you to rethink this project and come up with a new way to do it. We're going to put some constraints on it, blah, blah, blah. And can you have this by tomorrow? And I said, no. I am here, and I am focused, and I'm being present, and you don't need it tomorrow. And obviously, I've worked with him for 15 years, so it's okay. I will get it to you Thursday, because I will have time to really focus and do my best job on Thursday. He said, okay. And that was it. So yes, I learned a little bit about that myself. One of the things that really impressed me by the other speakers is how vulnerable everyone was from the get-go. And that vulnerability all right, so I'm not going to remember who said what yesterday, but one of the speakers yesterday made the point, I know it was Jess, that vulnerability is what makes you a good leader. And I always make it a practice to be vulnerable with my staff and my peers. They all know me as the goofy person that's not afraid to ask a question that's, pretty obvious. I don't want to say a dumb question. Because being vulnerable means that you learn and you grow. So I intended originally to talk a little bit about my path in becoming a leader. And I still will, but the other reason I have this piece of paper is so I don't talk too much about myself. I would like for you all to reflect about your journey in becoming a leader as we go through. I want to give you the time to think and to talk to each other. My first position as a leader was probably like most of you. I was a high school science teacher. And if you can lead teenagers, you can lead anybody. It is not an easy job, but it is the job that, I said to someone yesterday, you can walk into the classroom having learned what they're going to learn last night. So long as you're one day ahead of the kids and you've got a good plan, you can do it. You can do anything, and that was something that I learned. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. When you are that high school teacher, you kind of have to do everything because it's your classroom, right? And then I was plucked from obscurity and asked to lead, actually kind of build, create, and lead an online school. And this was back in 2002. It was pretty early in the online school movement. And I was the only full-time employee for the first year. I didn't have a lot of students. I had like 25 or 30. But I was the guidance counselor and the science teacher and the principal and everything else. So yes, I did everything. But I didn't do it very well because you can't do everything and do it all well, right? So you need to learn how to not do everything. I've already told you, I said no this week. Yay, I've learned. So I'm gonna do a fist to five with you. How good are you? Do you know, sorry, should I explain my fist to five? Yes. A fist means I am so horrible at it, you don't even wanna know. A five is I'm so good at this, I could teach you how to do it. And then of course you have the in-betweens, okay? Are we clear on the process? Excellent. How good are you at folding a fitted sheet? I hear groans. I see fists, twos. Ooh, I see a 4. I see a 5. There's another 4. My lady there who's a 5, congratulations, you are highly skilled. Your grandmother taught you, excellent. Those of you that had a fist or a 1, why do you have your sheets rolled up in a ball in your linen closet? Because what? It doesn't make sense. No one will ever see them. You put them on the bed and they stretch out and you never know that they had wrinkles, right? It's not a priority. It's all about figuring out what is my priority. And that prioritization is really important. Trying to figure out how to prioritize. How many of you have seen this graph before? This is the Eisenhower prioritization matrix. It sounds very fancy. At the top, in the top row, are the things that are important. The bottom row is the things that are not important. To the left are urgent things that need to be done now. They have a deadline. And over here on the right are the things that are not urgent. I can do them as I need to. And where you want to live for your own happiness and wellness is in the upper right. Things that are important but not urgent. Now there's a lot of things that come at you, and a lot of them are important. Most of the time you have some timeline, a roadmap in front of you. What is it? A runway in front of you. So you don't have to do it right now. You get to decide. You get to decide when it's going to get done. Important, the things that are important means that they're important to you. They're important to your career, to your home life. They're important to your district. You know, the things that you have at your job, you have a lot of things that come up. Some are more important than others. Unfortunately, where we spend a lot of our time is over here, in things that are urgent and important and urgent and not important. Now the top one's not so bad because something comes up and it's important, and if it's urgent, that probably means that you didn't decide early enough to get it done, right? It fell off the list, and oops, I better do that right now. But down here, if it's urgent and not important, something like, I need to get snacks for the PD day. All right, do I really have to do that? Yes, it's important to some degree, but I can delegate that. That's something I can get somebody else to do. And most of the time, the people in your world would be happy to do something for you to lighten that load for you. It took me a long time to learn that. They want to help you. I have one employee that every time I see him, he asks, what can I do for you? And every time I say, nothing, I'm good. But he really wants to help. And then, of course, down here, if it's not important and it's not urgent, it is not something that's going to be on my plate at all. You delete it. This is a great system. Obviously, it's named after someone, a president that used it. And prioritization is the next thing I'm going to ask you. How good are you at prioritize? Oh, wait, no, not prioritizing. How good are you at delegating? How good are you delegating? Fist to 5, same metrics. Good, I see some 4s, lots of 4s, some 2s, 3s. I don't see any fists. That's excellent. I don't see any 5s either. Oh, there's one. Of course, the CEO would be very good at that, right? All right, excellent. Yeah, delegating is something that's super important. Let's take 2 minutes and turn to the person next to you. Why are you good at delegating? That's not what I really had in mind, not why. What makes you good at delegating? What makes you good at delegating? 2 minutes. Do y'all have now a 2-minute stopwatch on you? You did really well. That was almost exactly 2 minutes. What did you learn something from the person you were talking to, a strategy that you might use? Anybody learn something? Anybody want to share one of those things? Look, her group is volunteering her.
Well, it's not really mine. So Brene Brown uses the term painting it done. And so when you are getting ready to delegate something, you paint it done for your team so that they know what the finish line actually looks like. And then build in multiple checkpoints before the finish line so that there's no surprises in the end.
Excellent. Excellent. You took a lot of what I was going to say. No, that's perfect. That gives me other things I can say. Yeah, so hopefully you heard from one of your partners how you might be able to move those 2s, 3s, and 4s up to a 5. Because this is an area that if you are very good at delegating, it frees up a lot of time in your world. Even though you have to build in those checkpoints take time, but you do get a better product from it, and you get a better team. And that's the important thing about it. I wasn't going to go into this. I took it off of my list, but I will tell you a little bit about it. One of the things that helps me to be a really good delegator is I know a lot about my team. And one of the assessments that we all take on my team is the Clifton Strengths Assessment. And this is just a sample of the results from that. It is a bunch of questions that you answer, and it identifies your top 5 or 10, depending on how much money you give them, your top strengths. Just to give you an idea, my top 5 strengths are input, intellection, ideation, learner, how many is that, 4, and strategic. Now, if you were paying attention, because I kept pointing, those are all in the green, which is strategic thinking. Now, obviously, I have some skills in executing, or I would not have my job still. But the four main categories are executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. So when I have a project and I say, you know what, I need this to give this to somebody, I know what their strengths are in terms of these characteristics. I know what skills they have, what special skills, and usually one or two names will pop up to the list, and it's always, thus far, it's always been a good match. So that's just one more tip that maybe that would help you out. As I started delegating more, this was, of course, a while back, I started thinking about that upper right quadrant where you're deciding. It's important, but it doesn't have a deadline. And I thought, delegating is kind of like collaborating because I'm doing the checkpoints and I'm giving them feedback. Collaborating might be a really good way to do those things that are those projects that multiple strengths and multiple skills that clearly I don't have would be helpful. How many of you have think tanks? Somebody talked about think tanks yesterday. Think tanks or committees or any kind of groups that are working on projects. Yeah, it's something that a lot of superintendents use, based on my history, at least. So when we talk about collaboration, take 2 minutes now and talk with the person next to you about when do you decide to create a think tank, a committee, all right, the other words are leaving me now. When do you decide to do it, and what is your role in that process? Okay, 2 minutes. Excellent. I didn't give you the 30 seconds this time because I didn't want to cut you short. So collaborate. I've got two questions that you were talking about. What kinds of situations do you use a group in order to set up a collaboration? One example? Yes.
We use a research study team process anytime when we really need multiple stakeholder input. So it's not something the administrative team is going to make a decision on in isolation. We want to include community, teachers, parents, students, board potentially. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to ask you, I heard it mentioned earlier, sorry, I know I threw a curveball at you even with asking for input. In Ohio, we would have continuous improvement plan meetings, and our superintendent was adamant that if anybody called and complained during the year from the community, that person would be invited. Do you all do that?
So right now we're doing a cell phone research study, and we had one of our people who was posting out on social media. We recruited her to sit on that team. We felt she had a lot of input on cell phones and social media in school. So yes, we definitely reach out to those people.
Yeah, it's something very brave. You have to be very brave to do it, but it could be a way to bring them back into the fold and support the district. Yeah. Okay, the other question was, what is your role? Who'd like to share what their role is when you have a team like that? Yes. Facilitator and listener. So you're not giving your opinion in those? Not yet. Yeah, it depends on the reason behind the meeting, of course. I personally sometimes am the facilitator, and I keep my mouth shut unless I am facilitating. And other times I will ask someone else to facilitate and I will be a participant, in which case I can give my opinions, but I hold them till last because I don't want to be the loudest person in the room. Sometimes when you have that VP after your name, that can happen. So yeah, those are great strategies. So one of the things that happens when you start delegating and you start collaborating as main parts of your work, main ways of work, is first of all, you start feeling a little guilty because you're like, am I just giving away all my work? You're not. You're really not, because you're shifting your work from well, when I first started, I had a motto that was take care of yourself by taking care of business. So it was kind of like Nike's Just Do It. Just get it done and you'll be okay. And over time, I have shifted that to take care of yourself by taking care of others. Because when you're delegating and you're collaborating, you are empowering others, you're motivating others, you're giving them new skills that they can carry on in their career. You're growing leaders within your organization, and you're strengthening that organization. So that is when I really found my purpose. My purpose is to work with others and to build others up. And if I'm ever in a position where I can't do that, I won't want to be there anymore. So fist to 5, how good are you at taking care of yourself? It was a proud 5 that went up there. That was awesome. I see 4s, 5s. I see a couple of 2s and 3s. If you have, no matter what number, 5's excellent. No matter what number you have, I want you to make sure, just promise me, you don't have to do it right now. Promise me that you're going to write a couple of things down that how you can take better care of yourself moving forward. I take care of myself by taking care of others, but I also have limits. Okay, I also have limits, like I told you. I told my boss no today. I'm really proud of that. As you go through your own journey and your own career, I want you to also think about how you can continue to improve and create that balance for yourself. Because when we get to the end of our careers, it's not going to be the projects that we finished that we're going to think back and be proud of. It's going to be the people that we impacted, the teachers, the leaders that we grew, the students that we impacted. The students that we impacted along the way, and that is what makes our jobs important every single day. Even though I'm not in the classroom anymore, I still count that as I'm an educator forever. You all have seen this. I'm from ExploreLearning. We are all about finding the really hard things, the things that are blockers for students, and being laser targeted and taking those blockers away from students so that they can be successful. I'm happy to talk with you about that. I'd love to also talk with you about your journeys. And by the way, I said I would be vulnerable. I care about you enough that I went and watched a YouTube video. I learned to fold my sheets, and I give you a 3. I give myself a 3, and you can tell I still hold the line at ironing. I will not iron. Thank you very much.